Hi class, it's me again, Miss Duchesne. We're going to be doing something really fun today, and we are going to be learning about vocal technique. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so we are going to learn about the magic of vocal technique, an intro to vocal technique and health. Where to start? Eek! I know it's scary, and there definitely is a lot, but we're only going to be going over some little things today, just the basics. So breathe. We'll get through this. It'll be fun. Alrighty. So these are a couple of quotes that I got from my vocal development teacher. She was amazing. Her name was Dr. Rundis. Her name is Dr. Rundis. She teaches at Cal State Long Beach right now. But she taught me some of these quotes. The enemy of singing is tension. That is the worst thing you can have when you are singing. And the four greatest elements of good singing are beauty, freedom, strength, and health. So today we are going to be going over more of the health, more of the freedom today. So first things first, we cannot sing if we have really bad postures, if our breath isn't controlled, if your body is tense, if your body's too, stiff, like you're not going to be able to breathe very well and you're not going to be able to get those notes out. So, again, if your body is too tense, your singing will also be tense. Singing takes the whole body down to your toes, through your legs, up to your hips, all the way to the top of your head. Takes the whole body, not just your vocal folds. Singing uses both small and large muscles, which must be equally relaxed and contracted in harmony. We call this being in a state of tonus, but I like to kind of think of, harmony. Your muscles are in harmony. They're relaxed and contracted at the same time. They're working together, all of them. Small muscles, big muscles. So that's very important. Good singing posture is known as the noble posture. How to check if your posture is noble? Noble. After your everyday stretches of your back, your neck, your shoulders, yada, 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 check your feet. Are they square underneath your shoulders, or you can put one foot slightly in front of the other, just as long as you're stable, you're balanced, and you're grounded. You feel at one with the ground. Next, check if your knees are unlocked and loosey-goosey. We never want to lock our knees. That can cause some pretty bad things. We can get lightheaded, especially if we're singing for a very long time. Some of you'll be singing for 40 minutes sometimes. I mean, I know my longest time that I've sung is probably a little over an hour straight. So you never want to lock your knees because you could get lightheaded and you can faint. So that's not good. I've seen it happen. Trust me. Your hips, your shoulders, and ears should all be aligned with each other and relaxed and released. If you can't use your hips to dance, you are too tense. That's what I always say. Your sternum, which is the bone right in the middle of your chest, right kind of above your heart, should be high, but it should be flexible. Like you shouldn't be puffing out your chest or squeezing your shoulders back. Like that's kind of tense. So be careful not to lift them or you know puff out your chest to make your sternum higher because we aren't birds. Only birds do that. So let's not do that. Side note, it is always important that you make sure your chewing muscles, your temples and your jaw muscles are tension free. So those are these muscles right here. If you clench your jaw and feel right here, you could feel them moving. I don't know if you could see that, but you could feel them moving. We never want those muscles to have tension. And same with your temples. Your temples aid in helping you with these muscles. So give them a little massage before you think you're about to sing. Um, that's going to make a world of a difference. They also shouldn't be doing anything but chilling, relaxing, and staying open. Another thing is, you have swallowing muscles, which are in here. And sometimes I just like to massage them, massage my neck, massage kind of around like the bottom here where all of your swallowing muscles are. Because when our swallowing muscles are contracted, it is very, very hard, much, much harder to use your voice. One way that you can tell if your swallowing muscles are released and are relaxed, sometimes you'll be singing and you'll have a lot of spit in your mouth. That's actually a good sign. That means your swallowing muscles aren't working. So, and that means that your vocal muscles are working. So don't worry if you if you accumulate a little bit of spit when you're singing. That is perfectly normal and perfectly healthy. Why worry so much about posture? One, so you can breathe. Two, so your voice can actually come out. Think of your body as a tube in which air can flow in and out. Here, I'll use like a little example. You see, you know what this is? This is a recorder. This is just like our bodies. So if I blow air through it, it can go just straight down, straight out of the bottom, or straight out of the other holes to make, a pitch. But if this thing was bent, you think we would be able to make any sound? I don't think so. I think the air, if this was bent in half, like I think the air would just stop like right here. It wouldn't have, you wouldn't, give it the opportunity to shoot all the way out to the bottom. And that's how it is with our bodies. That's how it is with our voices. So that's why we need to keep our postures up. If that tube is folded, air cannot flow in and out easily. So that's something to think about. Alrighty, now that we kind of touched on breathing, let's learn how to breathe. The type of breathing that we use for singing is called the Appoggio breath, and it's a little different than our regular everyday, surviving breath. So it takes a lot more intention and it takes a lot more thought, unlike our, unlike when we normally breathe. So these are some elements of the Appoggio breath. The sternum is high and flexible. The muscles we use for inhaling and exhaling are in harmony with each other in a state of tonus, balanced between relaxed and contracted. During inhalation, your ribs are moving out side to side, kind of like wings or kind of like fish gills, and your chest stays put. So no puffing the chest. Again, we're not birds. And your tummy muscles are working to keep your ribs out. We never want to like contract our tummy muscles as if we're like posing for an H&M photo shoot and this and that. We never want to do that, but it's more the tummy muscles on the sides that work to keep those ribs out. Exhalation is slow, steady, regulated, and well coordinated with your vocal folds. 4 steps to achieve the Appoggio breath. 1. Completely exhale. This releases your diaphragm muscle, the muscle that makes room for your lungs to expand. I'm sure you've all heard of this muscle, and it makes room for your lungs to expand by gently moving your organs lower. So that's why it kind of feels like we get a little like fat when we breathe in and our tummies like expand. It's because all of your organs are going down. They're going into around your pelvis. So that's what's happening anatomically. Number 2, move your ribs side to side when taking a silent breath. You shouldn't be forcing this. You should just kind of be noticing that when you're breathing, when you're taking a good Appoggio breath, your ribs kind of move side to side like wings. It should kind of feel good, like it's stretching. And also no gasping, no, because I didn't get a very good breath when I gasped, but only slow silence. Yeah, I got a really good breath that time and you couldn't hear it. So keep your ribs in this position. Number 3, keep your ribs in this position using your abdominal or your ab muscles, that it'd be the 6-pack muscles, which you don't want to contract again, to keep your ribs in this position. So again, they're more of like the side ab muscles. And at the end of your exhale, allow your ribs to go back to position. So you're going to be keeping your ribs in this position as you're exhaling. You'll keep them out. And towards the end of your exhale, you'll allow your ribs to go back to position 1. And then you'll completely repeat the cycle. So by that time, you've completely exhaled all of your air. So your diaphragm goes back to step 1. This takes time and practice. Do not expect yourself to be able to do this overnight. There are so many world-class singers who are still, who still have to think about their breath support. Because sometimes we'll get a weird song to sing and it'll challenge us in new ways, and so we'll have to, re-examine our breath and see how it's working. So again, don't expect it to be perfect. Don't expect yourself to be able to do this already. It takes time. It really does. Phonation, finally. Enough with the breathing, enough with the posture. Let's actually get into it. Phonation is the act of actually producing a sound from your vocal folds. Just a reminder, good singing is beautiful, free, strong, and healthy. The basics. Try to yawn. Notice the shape. If you can't, try to snore and notice that shape. You kind of feel that that soft part of the back of your throat go up. That's called your soft palate, and we'll get back to that. Your jaw should be comfortably open, so you shouldn't be unhinging it like a snake, like we want it just to be comfortably open. I know Mr. DLC likes to use the apple analogy. I think that's a really great analogy. Pretend like you're biting into an apple. It's not a huge apple, so you don't have to unhinge your jaw like a snake, but you can just simply take a bite of your little apple. Your tongue should be rested comfortably at the bottom of your mouth, touching the back of your bottom front teeth. And I'll demonstrate that to you if you don't mind. So if you mind, you can skip this part of the video. So when I open my mouth, notice that my tongue is resting at the bottom of my mouth. It's flat. It's not twitching. Sometimes it'll twitch. You just have to get used to keeping your tongue in this position. But let me show you again. See, it's just resting at the very back of my bottom front teeth. And if you're having tongue tension, stick your tongue out and try to stretch it all the way down to your chin like this. Then stretch it up to try to touch your nose. And just kind of alternate. And sometimes you can even massage your tongue from below your mouth, below your head, right there. You'll massage your tongue in that way as well. Now, try inhaling using your new Appoggio technique. Try inhaling the shape of that yawn or that snore. So when I was first learning this, it was kind of strange. I'm not saying, make this a habit, but I would inhale, but I would always inhale a snore. So every single time I inhaled, it went like, and I would make that sound. So you can try this for a little bit, but you could also notice that shape without making that snoring sound, like. So just right before you're about to snore, you can inhale that shape. So it's just something to play around with. It's different for everybody, but I like the snore method. I also like the yawn method, but the snore is definitely a little bit more comfortable for me. Alrighty, so inhaling the shape of the yawn or the snore gently lifts that soft palate, that soft part we were talking about earlier. Your soft palate is the soft part at the very top back portion of your mouth. So to find this, number one, you'll find the hard part at the top of your mouth, kind of towards your teeth. Kind of move your tongue around that area. Um, that's your hard palate. And if you go back further, it gently dips into like a soft, fleshy part. That's your soft palate. So, like that. Now your vocal tract is open and ready for singing. Open, ready for singing. Try singing a single note or a couple notes of your choosing on an ah vowel. Ah, ah. Now my vocal tract is open. I feel free. I feel no stress, no tension. It's easy. That's a big thing. It should be easy. If it's not easy, if you're struggling, that's when you just go back to step one. It takes time again. It really takes time. Things to watch out for. This phonation process should all be done in one fluid motion like an engine. I know I kind of broke it up into sections, but all of those sections happen in the matter of milliseconds. So this should all be a fluid motion. If the parts of the car engine aren't moving in sync, one right after the other, the car won't go. This is like our voices. Holding your breath before singing your note, this can cause your voice to make a popping sound called a glottal, and your voice will not run smoothly. I will demonstrate. So I'm ready to breathe. My posture is great. I breathe. I hold my breath. And then I sing. You hear all of that, hear that kind of pop, like the popping sound. It's because I held my breath before singing. And then exhaling and letting air out before you sing your note only wastes precious Appoggio air. But the beginning of your note may sound like the beginning of your note may sound like air or breathy. I'll demonstrate. Ah, you hear that, all of that air that I wasted in the beginning? Let me try again. Ha, you hear all that? Half of that was just me wasting the air. So one thing that we like to try to do is we like to try to either not hold it and not let it go too early. Ah, ah. No air gone, no air wasted. I have tons of air to make it through the rest of the line. I'm not making a popping sound, and that also wastes air, but it wastes it in like big puffs of air. So yeah, and that's something that we can probably, get into a little bit later, but it is a pretty long process. But, you'll get to that. Last but not least, taking care of your voice. This is super, super important. Our voices are our instruments. You're not going to take your trumpet and smack it against the wall, smack it against the ground. If we don't take care of our voices properly, that's essentially what we're doing. So it's important to stay hydrated, drink lots of water. Also, keep in mind that drinking water in the moment probably won't really help since the water doesn't actually come anywhere near your vocal folds. So you'll have to just keep staying hydrated, and you're also not you can't be hydrated the day of. You can't hydrate the day of. All of your body's hydration comes from the day before. It takes 24 hours for your body to be fully hydrated from drinking water. So keep in mind, drinking water may help like remove some phlegm or remove some excess like stickiness in your throat or your sinuses. Like it might help a little bit, but other than that, doesn't touch your vocal folds at all. If you have allergies or a cold, I am a huge allergy sufferer. Be aware that any antihistamines are going to dry out your vocal folds, and this is going to be a little harder for you to sing. So just be cautious of that. that can cause like scratchiness of the voice. So that it's because your vocal folds are too dry. For me, I have to start taking allergy shots because the shots they don't go through my vocal folds. They don't dry me out at all because it's through my arm. So that's one thing. Poor air quality in the lungs. It's been really bad. There's fires outside, especially around here. So just be careful. No smoke. Stay inside. When smoke is inhaled in, it goes straight past your vocal folds. It'll just it'll just kind of deteriorate them. So you have to be really careful about that. And then also try not to clear your throat or cough. There are other things you can do. But when you cough, this is essentially what your vocal folds do. Your vocal folds like smack together and then get really irritated, and that's not good. It's not very good. So something that I like to do is I like to do an Alice exercise. So I like to kind of glottal the word Alice. Alice, 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 Alice. And that kind of clears your throat a little bit. Alice, Alice. So that's something you can try. Very soft, pressurized air. You can even go, you could even try something like that, just as not as long as you're not clearing your throat or you're coughing. But these things are only the basics, and they will help you with your Wingardium Leviosa of the voice. Alrighty, if you have any other questions, do not hesitate to ask me or ask Mr. DLC. There are so many resources that we can offer you. So yeah, thank you for sticking with me throughout this presentation. I had a lot of fun.